K-Mac, I just muted you. You probably can't hear it, but I got rid of the wind, so just make sure you turn yourself right back on when Corn goes to you.
You remember to keep my screen there so the banner doesn't come across my beautiful face.
Yeah. Opening cut of Chad from a press conference. We'll go right to you.
All righty.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Bill Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
2 days of baseball here, and we didn't play very well, play very up to our capabilities, and the result is we got what we deserved. And try to bounce back, and we'll get back to work, get back to Columbia tonight, and get on the practice field twice tomorrow, and twice Saturday, twice Sunday, and see if we can fix up some of these miscues that we had these last 2 days.
Well, it sounds to me like those practices might very well be held over at Fort Jackson. Boot camp mentality, I'm sure, from Chad Holbrook and the coaching staff after the Gamecocks go 0-2 again here in Hoover. Third time in the last 5 years the Gamecocks have come to the SEC tournament and gone home without scratching out a win. And these two games last night and today, particularly horrendous performances. Hard to explain. How do you explain? We know a team that's one of the best teams in the country, and coming into Hoover, Alabama, and just flat out laying an egg in every aspect of the game. There is no part of the game that is not above reproach from the Gamecocks' performance the last two games. Pitching, hitting, fielding, base running, coaching, lump it all together, and what you get is a combined, 19-2 total for the Gamecocks, and losing last night to Mississippi State in a game that was stopped after 7 innings because of the mercy rule, and then today falling to the Florida Gators. Final score 7-2. Welcome into Sports Talk. Phil Kornbluth coming to you from the SEC tournament for one more night, as we'll be departing as the Gamecocks head back to Columbia. Kevin McCrary at the ACC tournament in Greensboro, where the Clemson Tigers take on Miami tonight, and he's there for that. And the Professor Tom Hayes back at the studios in Columbia. So the Gamecocks fall to Florida 7-2. Vanderbilt loses in the first game of the day to Ole Miss, so Vanderbilt is eliminated. So that's two teams that were in the RPI top 8 going into this week who are out. Ole Miss beats Vanderbilt 7-2, and right now Arkansas and LSU are tied at 1. And we'll dive into this USC game in a moment. Let's go to Greensboro, welcome in K-Mac, and find out what's happening there. K-Mac?
All right, Corn, we are getting the field ready for Clemson and Miami, the final game of the night here, or the day, what's going to turn into the night here shortly, as Clemson and Miami will take the field. In the first game, an upset. Maryland, not even used to being in this tournament. Well, they're making the most of their appearance here. They beat Virginia 7-6. Maryland, a 6 seed. Virginia, a 3 seed. Duke, who Clemson beat yesterday 5-3, beat Georgia Tech 6-0. That game just went final, and as we all know, Miami and Clemson coming up next. The Tigers 1-0, Miami 0-1, losing to Georgia Tech yesterday. We'll get lineups shortly and pass along the starting lineups. It is Gossett against Diaz on the mound. We do know that.
All right, we'll bring the pro in a moment to talk about some of the other things going on, and we'll update the scores as well from the SoCon and the Big South tournaments, and we'll hear from some of the Gamecocks as well. It's a busy edition of Sports Talk on a Thursday. We'll be right back. Okay.
One down, a one down.
All right, good start. Did you check to see if Rickson is with us?
Yes, I sent him a text.
And his response was?
He has not responded to me yet. Should be soon.
The SEC Network coming to AT&T Uverse on August 14th, 2014. New subscribers will receive a gift card to SEC
Wish we had someone in the Big South we could call. Since my boy's tied up.
He is tied up?
Well, yeah, he's doing the.
Oh, he's got play-by-play, yeah. Whoops.
The shortstop, number 3, Michael Bernal.
Oop, Winthrop's up 2-0. Stick that in your ear, Coastal. That's probably what you're saying.
Yeah, Rickson is not present.
Okay. Not so much for our coverage. I did a poor job. I should have made sure we had somebody lined up. It's not like the old days when I had my boy, Tony, at the SoCon.
Mr. Shufo himself?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Stupid. You always stay at the same hotel when I come to Hoover for the SEC Media Days or the tournament. It's a La Quinta Inn Suites, not bad. And it's
I
about
know you love the La Quintas.
over in River Chase, about 4 or 5 miles from here, great part of town. Well, Mr. Stupid, for some reason, when I booked it, I booked the one in Homewood. Which
How far away is that?
It's about 10, 12 miles. Which is not, it's very nice. And in fact, these La Quintas are all being refurbished, totally redone. They're nice. But I go to the one that I thought I was going to last night.
Trying to check it?
Yeah, the guy goes, I'm sorry.
Cool corn here, I promise.
On top of that, there was a police action going on. Apparently, there were some, it must have had some sort of a party or something there, and it must have had alcohol because I saw parents and police.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And the kids were, being, I overheard one cop saying, apparently somebody's sibling came because you can't leave until a parent is here. I have to have a parent,
Boy, I miss the good old days. Give anything to be 16 again.
Yeah.
Not have to deal with these schmucks.
Schmuckaroonies. Men's golf.
Just women in sports. Occasional illegal booze on the side.
I need to check the women's golf team today.
Now it's water bill, a couple mortgages, student loans.
Pro,
you name it. Medical bill.
Women's golf championship. And also let's get pro.
Stand by, gentlemen. Stand by.
All right. PGA Tour. We continue here on Sports Talk, a beautiful Thursday evening here in the mountains of Alabama. Hoover, Alabama, the site for the SEC Baseball Championship, which continues and will continue without South Carolina. The Gamecocks, really, they leave here without a whimper. They made very little noise. Last night, you'd never know they were here as they were mercy ruled out of that game against Mississippi State. And today, now they did have a 2-0 lead early against Florida. And then the Gators came back, took the lead, go up 3-2. And got a solo home run. Actually got 2 more runs to go up 5-2, then a solo home run 6-2, added a late run 7-2. The third inning was the Gamecocks' undoing. They had led at that point 2-0. Pancake and it was Pancake and English with doubles for the Gamecocks in the second to put them up 1-0. Kyle Martin hit a home run in the third over the center field fence. That's a pretty good ride. I'm going to estimate about 410. It says 405 on the fence. It was a little to the right of that. and over the wall. So I'm going to estimate about maybe 408, 410. So the Gamecocks are up 2-0, and Jack Wynkoop is looking good through 2 2/3. He allows 1 hit, but then with 2 outs in the third, it all starts to come apart for the Gamecocks. There's a single by Turgeon, and then with 2 outs, Richie Martin lays down a bunt right in front of the mound, and Wynkoop jumps on the ball and he doesn't field it cleanly. He bobbles it. It was a routine play. He messed it up. They don't get the out at first, so now you're talking first and second. And then he hits Harrison Bader in the ankle. Now the bases are loaded with 2 outs, and Taylor Gashu singles in 2 runs to tie the game. And then Braden Matson lays down a bunt. With 2 outs, he's bunting. Wynkoop fields the ball and tosses to Griner at the plate, trying to get the runner coming home. They don't get him, so it's another run. The go-ahead run scores for the Gators. That made it 3-2. They removed Wynkoop. They put Mincy in. Mincy got out of the inning with a strikeout. We go to the 4th, and Mincy's in trouble from the start, and he walks the first 2 batters, and then they bring in Seddon. Now, Seddon's a former starter, so there's no real concern about making him go distance in a ball game. They weren't concerned about that, plus they say he's in great shape. So it showed you how badly Chad Holbrook wanted to win this game. He wanted to win this game and stay in this tournament. He brings in Seddon, and Seddon doesn't have it from the start. After the first 2 batters walked by Mincy, Seddon comes in, and he does make a nice play on the sacrifice bunt. He gets the runner going to third base on the bunt by Tobias to get the first out, but then he gives up back-to-back RBI singles. 2 more runs score for the Gators, and they're in control at that point. It's 5-2. Tobias hits a home run in the 6th to make it 6-2. Gamecocks had a little bit of a threat in the 7th inning. With 1 out, a Cone tripled down the line into the corner and right, so he's at third with 1 out. Selleck pinch hits for Gore, hits a pop-up into the sun. Shortstop moves over. He drops the ball. Cone can't advance, but the Gamecocks have first and third with 1 out. Harrington hits a shallow fly ball, relatively shallow fly ball to center, and the center fielder makes the catch. That's Bader, fires home. He gets Cone at the plate, double play, end of inning, end of threat, end of any chance the Gamecocks have. So they end up losing 7-2. And if you add it up for the 2 games here for the Gamecocks, losing last night 12-0, in which they had 2 hits, and they gave up 14 hits last night. And today against Florida, they give up 7 runs. So in their 2 games, they allow 19 runs. They give up 12 more hits today. That's 26 hits. The Gamecocks scored 2 runs, and they total 7 hits in the 2 games they played here. So, K-Mac, it was pretty much a complete abomination for the USC baseball team, a team coming in ranked in the top 8. The only thing they can hope is that teams in the top 8, like Vanderbilt was, like Miami who's knocking on the door, other teams that are around the top 8 and under consideration for a top 8 national seed, continue to lose. But then again, I think maybe the Gamecocks lean on this psychologically too much, and the fans do as well. It's like, history tells them they can rebound from this and have a good NCAA tournament run and still have a chance to go to Omaha, even if they have to go on the road and play in a super regional.
Yeah, every year's different, and when you go on the road in the super regional, South Carolina has never gone to Omaha via a super regional away from the friendly confines of either Carolina Stadium or what was formerly Sars Fry Field. So,
well, there was the one time they did win the super regional at Coastal Carolina, but that was
you're right.
That was like a home regional from the standpoint of the fan support, but it was not their home field.
Right. So that's a fair point, but like you said, that's not a true. There's a big difference between Coastal Carolina and say Chapel Hill, North Carolina, when the Tar Heels were up last year. We know they're down this year, or you have to go to, let's say, Coral Gables and play Miami.
Yeah.
So they've dug a hole for themselves. But that's what this time of the year is all about. The top 8 national seeds play like it this time of the year. The Gamecocks haven't.
All right, right now, Arkansas and LSU are tied at 1, and we are in the top of the third inning in this one. Let's go to the pro and welcome him into the program. And what's your take on the Gamecocks' two-game performance here in Hoover and what the Tigers are looking forward to tonight against Miami and what's a big game for them?
Well, it's a big one for Clemson. And Jack Leggett, I was listening to his comments last night. I think he's very optimistic this team is ready to do some damage. Of course, for a large part of the season, they led the ACC in hitting, just couldn't get the big hit when they needed to. Maybe they've emerged. Maybe that Boston College game was the big comeback was the catalyst. We'll see tonight. A team that swept them at Tiger Town, we'll see if they can beat them tonight. As far as South Carolina is concerned, Phil, the only thing you can do is you got to think that historically, South Carolina, I don't know if it's subliminally in their minds or whatever, but for some reason you think that deep down they don't take Hoover seriously. It's got to be, because how does a team play this Jekyll and Hyde role every year where they come to Hoover, lay an egg, and then suddenly they catch fire in the postseason? It has to be that you're not taking Hoover seriously. You talk like you are, but for some reason your body language tells me you aren't. And
well, yeah, I hear you, and I would agree with you, except we see that today in trying to win the game, Holbrook brought in Mincy early, then he brought in Seddon early, so he used his top-line guys out of the bullpen to try to win this game. So, and his comments afterwards were, he was coaching to try to win the game. He wanted to stay here. He realized this was an important game from the standpoint of the RPI, though he did accurately point out it really varies year to year with the committee how much emphasis they happen to put on your performance in your league tournament compared to your body of work for the entire season.
Right, yeah. And you know, the interesting thing is a guy like Joe Seddon, Phil, he looks like he has even though he's been a starter, he looks like the consummate closer. Even when he came in the game, you figured, wait a minute, this is a guy that's used to closing a game. I'm not so certain he's going to be comfortable in this role. And then suddenly he gives up the 2 hits. It's almost like it has to be 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 or something, and he's coming in the 9th inning. He got his control late, but by that time, Florida, the hay was in the barn.
All right, let me update some of the other games in the Big South. Campbell leads Charleston Southern. Beat Charleston Southern 6-2. Radford beat Gardner-Webb 5-4. Winthrop leads Coastal top of the third 2-0. Liberty and High Point still to come there. In the Southern Conference tournament in Charleston, the finals today, Wofford beat the Citadel 4-2. Georgia Southern beat Western, the top seed. They're out 8-4. Furman and Appalachian are scoreless, top of the second. Davidson and Sanford coming up tonight. Here it is LSU leading Arkansas 2-1 in the top of the third inning. And K-Mac is about to watch Clemson and Miami. We're going to dive into Jack Leggett and to talk about him coming up in a moment. I think for one of the few times in my life I was able to describe the game action out of my scorebook without screwing it up too badly. Proud of myself. Thank you, Stateman, for the compliments.
I'm sorry, I was listening to Pro. Even wants to mention, don't forget the SC Hall of Fame guys.
That's okay. Oh, yeah.
What were you saying? I'm sorry, go ahead. Corn.
It's not important.
Oh, okay.
It's not important. Not. I sent Mike a text, but I haven't heard back from him. We'll see if he shows up.
It seemed like he was in the best mood yesterday.
I know he was in kind of a. Well, he was still mad at me over saying that you can't see the games in Columbia.
Well, why is he mad about it?
I don't know. He took that as an insult.
What are you, the messenger?
I don't know. I mean, he said he told me last week, I'm still steaming about your comment about the. I said, okay.
I mean, I took seriously like 20 minutes yesterday searching all over the internet trying to find the exact location of where CSS was on Time Warner.
Can't. I mean, you know,
It was blacked out.
I mean, I was right. I told him. I said you can't get CSS in parts of the in large parts of South Carolina. College football hall.
Comcast. Step by guys.
Okay. Okay, we'll get to some phone calls here coming up in a little bit, and we'll let you hear what the Gamecocks had to say as they departed Hoover today after losing to the Florida Gators. The 7-11-21 instant game has lucky numbers written all over it. With this dollar instant game, you can win up to $1,000, and it's from the South Carolina Education Lottery. K-Mac, you wrote a commentary at SportsTalkSC.com today. It's getting a lot of reaction. The internet Twitter world about Jack Leggett after there was a little report in the Post and Courier about Dan Radakovich, quoting him, saying he's going to talk with Jack Leggett after the season about the direction of the program. And I don't know if you want to read anything more into that comment than it actually says on its own merits, but you stepped in and said, slow down the train here. There's no reason to go crazy over Jack Leggett and his future employment by Clemson.
Yeah, I think all this talk, first of all, it's premature in the fact that as I'm sitting here, I'm watching Clemson warm up. That tells me the season's not over. They have a game today, a game tomorrow. And I think, I think they're going to be in a regional somewhere on the road. So they have a lot of season left. We don't know what's going to happen. And in college baseball, we can see a team make a run. You have a guy like Daniel Gossett. If Crownover pitches the way he did yesterday, this team could make some noise. They have not met expectations this year. They've had a little bit of a downtick in the past 3 years. And this year would be a fourth straight year. They've made the postseason, Corn, in all of those years. I'm just scratching my head saying, how are people seriously thinking about firing a guy who's won over 1,000 games, almost over 900 at Clemson. In 21 years, he's had a winning record in the ACC 20 times, and they want to run him out of town like he hasn't done anything. This is college baseball. It's difficult. Augie Garrido at Texas, they've missed the postseason 2 straight years. They had a losing record last year. UCLA, another power program, they won the whole thing last year. They had a losing record this year. Leggett's had one season in 21 where he didn't make the postseason. Garrido's had 2 in a row. These are legendary coaches. So, it's okay to be upset and not satisfied, but I think pulling the trigger and running off a Hall of Fame coach unceremoniously is not going to help your program get where you want to go.
Well, I certainly concur with you. I think that cooler heads need to prevail here on all fronts, and hopefully Dan Radakovich is going to see it that way. Of course, he's been in a bit of a shake-em-up kind of mood at Clemson. He's moved a lot of the old school out. Bill DeAndre, Barbara Kennedy, Keith Yannity, Will Merritt, and I'm sure there's others that just don't come to mind or I don't know about. So I don't know how deeply his loyalty to longtime Clemson employees runs right now.
Yeah, well, I was disappointed in his comments because that was his chance to give his guy a ringing endorsement and say, you know what, let's see what happens with this season. Let's see how things play out because I still believe in this team and Jack Leggett's a Hall of Fame coach. Instead, he gave the standard, let's wait and see, and we're going to talk at the end of the season. I just thought that was unfair for Radakovich to do that. Again, the season's still playing out right now. The AD should have his back, especially somebody with as much cred as Jack Leggett.
Well, you're exactly right, and we will be back with more in a moment.
I have lineups too.
Okay.
You have me worried, Corn. You have me worried.
Well, I couldn't tell if if that was a current countdown or an old countdown.
You see how it's after the live?
Yeah. Might be a good idea to put the time in there, like 29:30 or 20. Yeah, 20. So I'll know exactly because sometimes they all kind of run together. I don't know which one it's referring to. I just happened to look.
Graham, please do more.
Or just do a space in between there. Just be like, so it's not a bunch of numbers,
No,
right?
Mac, don't ask him to do anything more than
I'll
he's
do
already
it.
done.
Add in a colon, all these other things. Pick up the phone with your other hand. Wave you down because you guys can't pay attention to the breaks. All that stuff.
There. Now you got a little space in between it
Blah,
all.
blah, blah. Thank you, K-Mac. That's good. Blah, blah, blah. How's the finger, K-Mac?
That's healing.
That's good.
Did another little treatment on it yesterday.
Oh, there it is for the camera, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sure our 11 viewers, how many we got logged in right now, State Man?
Just on Google, it's 4. I mean, it bounced from 10 to 4, but we can't
Yeah.
It's just on the Google Hangout. Yeah, on the website. That doesn't monitor it.
Kind of stinks. I'd like to be able to know. I'm sure that's where the vast majority are.
Yeah, I'm sure, Nielsen, well, I'm sure we're going to pop up in the Nielsen ratings. So.
Yeah. I think we might be nominated for an Emmy.
Hey, who won American Idol last night? I never heard.
Hey, Mac.
Scotty McCreery? I don't know.
Is he related to you? If not, you should claim him. Close enough, name-wise.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, some dude from Asheville,
Oh, the guy won it, the rocker?
apparently.
North Carolina represent.
He beat the girl.
So that means in the next 10 years he'll run for a Congress or a Senate seat in North Carolina.
Maybe who he runs against will die, too.
Who are you referring? Who ran?
Clay
an
Aiken.
American?
Clay Aiken's running for, what's he running for? Congress?
Is he really? How about that?
Not only is he running, but his opponent in the primary, Reverend Dawson, died.
But he didn't win American Idol. Didn't he finish second to the
To
black guy?
Ruben Studdard.
Ruben. Yeah.
Clash with Ruben Studdard. Talented individuals there, boys.
Where's Ruben Studdard right now? Actually, I think I saw him over at the Jiffy Lube when I was driving
Well,
by.
I think he was. I think he's got a gospel album out or something. I think his genre was gospel.
Phil Cornbrook, master of arcane knowledge.
That's what we do here on Sports Talk. Blah blah blah. All right, let's. We got to get right into. We might as well go ahead and run Holbrook and stuff here now.
Glad you said that.
Get it ready because this.
All right, I'm going to mute myself then so we don't get all the wind.
Okay.
Blah, blah.
For the season.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, Corn, make sure you do your mutation as well.
I shall.
Obviously, a disappointing performance by our team. I felt like we had a lot to training room and from a healing aspect.
If you want to squeeze it all in, it's right at 9 minutes. We got to get right to it.
Okay. Just bring me up pretty quick.
Heard as soon as the music hits. Bring it right.
Number 16, Andrew Benintendi.
George with the concussion.
Man, I'm going to sleep good tonight. I got home. I got to the room. By the time I figured out where I was staying,
There we go, gents. Stand by.
3 o'clock.
Get right to this.
Okay. All right, we're back here in Hoover and in Greensboro and in Columbia. LSU is leading Arkansas 3-1, bottom of the third here in Hoover. Earlier today, South Carolina 7-2 loser to the Florida Gators. The Gamecocks are eliminated. Here are Chad Holbrook, Jack Weinkoop, Tanner English, and Kyle Martin as they took questions from the media afterwards, beginning with a statement from the coach.
Obviously, a disappointing performance by our team. I felt like we had a lot to play for today, and for some reason we didn't handle adversity very well there in the third inning. We had some energy in the dugout there when things were going well, when we were up 2-0, but Florida kind of scratched and clawed and got back in it there and took the lead, and we didn't do much after that, and that's disappointing. But 2 days of baseball here, and we didn't play very well, play very up to our capabilities, and the result is we got what we deserved. And try to bounce back, and we'll get back to work, get back to Columbia tonight, and get on the practice field twice tomorrow, and twice Saturday, twice Sunday, and see if we can fix up some of these miscues that we had these last 2 days.
Maybe Jack, that bunt play there, was it strange to see him sacrifice bunt in that situation there in the third?
Which one?
The first time when they had 2 outs and the runner on first.
No, I just botched it. It's probably the most routine bunt I've gotten all year, and didn't make a play on it.
And how do you sort of bounce back just yourself from this performance and put it past you?
We got to flush this weekend and focus on what's ahead of us.
Tanner or Kyle, whichever one of you, did y'all feel like y'all were prepared coming into this? Everyone talked about this week coming in with a little bit different mindset than usual, seeing the sense of urgency. Did y'all feel like y'all had that the last 2 days?
Tanner, you want to tackle it?
I felt like we were prepared. We've practiced our butts off and done everything we needed to do. We just, when things didn't go our way, it didn't seem like there was a fire under our butts this weekend, and it showed and came back and bit us in the butt.
Front row here, Drew.
It's Kyle. They're the second pitcher they had. He didn't really strike anybody out until the end, but y'all weren't getting very much off him. What was he doing that was keeping you guys from putting good swings on it?
Well, the first guy was throwing the mainly fastballs, and I guess that's what we were expecting from the second guy. He just kind of kept us off balance, hit his spots when he needed to, and we put the ball in play and just hit it right at people most of the time.
Kyle just talked about that home run to the deepest part of the park. It's a hard to get a home run out of, but what was that pitch like for you?
It was nice. I haven't had one in a while. It's a 2-0 fastball up and in, and I just stayed up the middle with it and ended up getting a hold of it and got it up in the wind and it just carried out.
Chad, you said a minute ago you kind of thought you guys were playing for something pretty big today. I guess when you say that, do you mean you kind of feel like you guys might have been playing for a national seed today to at least get one win here?
You never know. Sometimes the committees take a long look at what you do in your conference tournament. Sometimes it looks like they ignore it. So it depends on year to year, committee to committee, I think. And, up until this point, I've been extremely proud of my team. We've handled adversity. We fought. We scratched and clawed. And we found a way to go 42-14 in the regular season. And but these last 2 days, they didn't do much to make me proud, and maybe I didn't have them prepared. And we'll go back to Columbia and get prepared for next week, and see what happens on Sunday night and Monday. Those things are out of our control. I felt like it was an important game because you're playing a team with a very high RPI and a team that won the regular season and got off to a good start there. But the first sign of adversity, we didn't handle it the way that South Carolina usually handles it, and that was disappointing.
Yeah, and Coach, maybe just talk about kind of the fundamental play seemed to be a little bit lacking. I think you had more errors than runs over the 2 games.
Well, they gave us an out there. Martin bunting for a hit with 2 outs, and it was an easy play. And Jack's usually one of our better fielding pitchers, and he couldn't make a play there. And last night we in 3 innings we had 3 fundamental miscues. Grayson ran into an out after a leadoff double. Jordan Montgomery couldn't cover first base, and Joey Pancake couldn't hit behind the runner. Those are our guys. And when our guys, our starting pitchers and, our All-American candidates, they don't play well, it's going to be a struggle for us. And, we didn't play well. But I believe in our team. I believe in my guys, and we got 7-8 days to get healthy. We've lost 2 games here and won a national championship. So our guys know that. What we work for and what we pride ourselves in here at South Carolina is in front of us. It's not behind us. And we have some exciting times and exciting moments and some obviously very important games in front of us.
Do you feel like this team's put together a good enough resume to be a national seed?
I don't know. I'll leave that up to the committee. Going into the weekend or to the tournament, I certainly felt we had. Again, it's going to be some committees in past years it seems like they ignore conference tournaments. Other ones put a little emphasis on it. We'll just see what happens. but I am comfortable with my team. If we can go to Vanderbilt and win a series, we can go on the road and win. Season ain't over if we're not a national seed. We weren't a national seed in 2010. We won the national championship. There's been some teams that's won the national championship. That doesn't seal our fate if we're not. And when you play in this league, you're prepared to go on the road. And if we have to go on the road, we'll go on the road. But I feel good about our team. I feel good that we got 42 wins, and we're 42-16. And going into the regular season, if you told me all these things that happened to us, I'd sign up for that. So let's go back and get ready, get prepared, practice. I'm gonna practice their butts off, and hopefully we can get healthy, and I can make them so mad at me for the next few days that maybe they'll take it out on somebody else here in a week or so.
Chad, a couple things. One, your thought process on bringing Joel in so early, and also Max and Connor just letting them rest, get healthy.
Well, Cody couldn't throw strikes, and Joel's our best guy, and it was win or go home. So when the game was in doubt there, and we were trying to keep it close with our best guys, Joel's got starter stuff, so he's not a typical closer, even though he's got so many saves this year and he had an All-American type season. He's got 4 pitches that he can throw in there, and he's in great shape, and he can throw an extended number of pitches. And he hadn't thrown in a while. So we just wanted to go to our best guys, with the win or go home and, scenario that we were in. If we were going to lose it, we were going to lose it with our best guys. And just unfortunate. We pride ourselves here on pitching and playing defense and handling the fundamental aspects of the game, and we didn't do that for 2 days, and that's very, very disappointing.
No Schrock and no Bright today. Did their injuries flare back up, or was it just?
I'm resting those guys.
Yeah. Will that include the practices when you get back to Columbia? How will you handle them and trying to get them ready for the NCAA?
I'm gonna handle them with care. I just felt like it was too important for them to be healthy. I'm not liking what I'm seeing when they play one day and then they can't walk the next. And that wasn't where Max was today. If it was Game 3 of a Super Regional, he would have played. But the only thing I have to get him days is to rest him, and that was the decision I made. And Connor was sore too, and Connor could have played today, and I needed to get him some at-bats, and I wanted to play him. But I'm going to go back and get those guys. They won't practice much over the weekend like the rest of our guys will. They'll be in the training room, and we're going to ramp them up Monday. And I'm going to know by Wednesday or Thursday if they can go or not. And if they can't go, our players are going to know it. I can't keep bringing our players to the park not knowing who's going to play. We've done that enough. And so if they can answer the bell Wednesday, I'll let the media know they're in. And if they can't, we'll let the media know they're out. And we're going to go with the guys that found a way to win some games down the stretch. And that's how I'll handle them. And I hope these next 4 or 5 days will be very, very good for them in the training room and from a healing aspect.
There you go, Chad Holbrook and some of the Gamecock players after the loss here today. Taking a look at the Warren Nolan unofficial RPI up to date as of today. South Carolina has dropped to number 13. They were number 8 coming in. They're now number 13, but Vanderbilt stays in at number 7. Back in a moment.
We're going to have an arthritic shoulder after the show's done.
How's that?
Trying to wave you guys down and you have no idea what I'm doing over here.
My top choice of colleges at 9, no questions. Releasing my top choice of colleges.
Do you ever mic at all?
Nope. You want to try him on his phone?
Yeah, I'll give him a shot.
First baseman, number 29, Eric Fisher.
All right, you heard anything from Mike?
No go, no go.
No go. Okay.
That's all the audio we have from over there is just the post game, right?
This is correct. Nobody likes to do one-on-ones when they lose.
Figures.
And you know what? That news conference, there's nothing I could have asked Chad that would have elicited better responses than what he gave. He gave great, passionate answers.
Told you to stick it when you asked about Schrock.
No, he gave a good answer. He gave two good answers.
Sounded like stick it corn to me.
No, he gave a respectful, honorable answer. Said that,
Ooh, honorable.
Got to get them ready. Tired of them playing one day and missing a day. Got to have a lineup ready. By Wednesday, he wants to have a set lineup.
Hey, keep in mind you got an extra spot tonight, so if you want to bust one out here.
All right.
Stand by.
We are back on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut here in Hoover, Alabama, where it is 3-1 LSU in the bottom of the fourth inning, leading Arkansas. Clemson and Miami coming up. K-Mac will give us the starting lineups in just a moment. I want to dive more into this RPI as well in just a moment, bring you up to date on where things stand there. We'll do that in just a moment. When you're out on the water, have fun, but please never drink and drive. When you're on your boat, always designate a driver and always wear your life jacket. Let's make it through this summer safely so we can see you at the football games coming up this fall. And, of course, that's a very timely message with Memorial Day weekend coming up. A lot of folks going to be on the lake, in the boat. So please, let's stay away from the tragedies and stay away from drinking and boating, just like drinking and driving. The two do not mix at all well. Now, mentioned the Warren Nolan RPI, which is up to date through games this afternoon. And he's got Virginia, still the number one team, followed by Florida State, Florida, Indiana, Oregon State, Louisiana Lafayette, Vanderbilt, and Rice moving into the top 8. Texas is at number 9, followed by Ole Miss. Houston's 11, TCU is 12, USC is 13, Miami is 14, and LSU is 15. So LSU thinking they can win this tournament, might boost them into a top 8. Miami's probably thinking the same thing about their situation in Greensboro in the ACC tournament, and on and on. All South Carolina knows now is that they controlled their fate coming in. It's now really out of their hands because they did nothing to help themselves. Clemson, number 50 in the RPI as of this afternoon. So the Tigers just trying to make sure they've got a spot in the postseason field. And what's the lineup for tonight look like, K-Mac?
Oh, okay, Corn. I do have the lineup for the Tigers leading off and playing center field. Tyler Slayton. Tyler Krieger will bat the 2-hole and be the designated hitter tonight. Steve Wilkerson, the second baseman in the cleanup spot. Garrett Boulware is in left field tonight, and he will bat fifth. Jay Baum will play short and bat sixth. Shane Kennedy's at first base. He's in the seventh spot, and Chris Oakey will catch tonight. He's batting eighth, and Weston Wilson is playing third base and batting ninth. Daniel Gossett on the mound. 1.74 ERA, 7-1 record against Chris Diaz, the ACC Pitcher of the Year, 9-0 with a 2.32 ERA.
Yeah, great pitching matchup. You're going to see a lot of radar guns, I'm sure, popping up behind the screen as these two guys go at it. So we're going to see a great baseball game, I would imagine, tonight in Greensboro. Let me mention a couple of other things that have gone on today that are worth reporting. And first of all, the College Football Hall of Fame announced its new selections. And congratulations to Sterling Sharp, the former Gamecock star, wide receiver. He is going into the College Football Hall of Fame, as is Joe Hamilton, the Macedonia product who starred at Georgia Tech. Two great football players with connections to our state. The others going into the Hall of Fame, Dre Bly, defensive back, North Carolina. Tony Baselli, offensive tackle of Southern Cal. Dave Butts, defensive tackle, Purdue. Shane Conlon, linebacker, Penn State. John Heward, linebacker of Maine. Darren Nelson, H-back of Stanford. Willie Rofe, offensive lineman, Louisiana Tech. John Sciarra, quarterback, UCLA. Leonard Smith, cornerback, McNeese State. Derek Thomas, the late Derek Thomas, linebacker from Alabama. LaDainian Tomlinson, running back from TCU. And Wesley Walls, tight end from Ole Miss. Two coaches, Jerry Moore, Appalachian State, Texas Tech, North Texas, and Mike Bellotti, Chico State and Oregon. That's your class of inductees. And hard to argue with any of those selections. Sterling Sharp, let's face it, he was a phenomenal athlete. Came to South Carolina, if I remember correctly, as a very athletic quarterback type. They converted him to a wide receiver pro and a return guy, and he set the world on fire his last couple of years with the Gamecocks.
Yeah, Sterling Sharp, one of those guys that back in the 80s, you redshirt him as a sophomore, and he comes back and drafted 7th. Sterling Sharp today, they redshirt him his sophomore year. He's playing his junior year. He's gone.
Yeah.
Played that senior year, but he became the 7th pick in the draft, and what a tremendous receiver for Brett Favre when they hooked up at Green Bay. Very physical receiver who would absolutely try to just shove a defensive back out of bounds as easy as the runner.
Had a little audio drop there. That's why I didn't try to say anything. I didn't know if something was going on. I didn't want to cut it too close to the break.
I was curious.
All right, now I'm getting tired.
Are you driving back tonight?
Seymour?
No, I'm going to stay over. I'm not going to.
Hey,
force
did
it.
you talk to Pope about tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, I should be back. I'm going to leave here around 9 in the morning.
So you'll be back in time?
I should be back. I'll have Graham. Just make sure you have your phone with you. If I get hung up in traffic or something, that's by say 2:30 or so. If I see it's going to be a problem, I might call you. But I expect to be back by 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Get caught in the subway,
2:30.
the sandwich shop or something.
Beg pardon?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
I'll give you a long. I'll give you a 45, 50-second voice from here.
Okay, that's good. What time's Clemson play tomorrow?
3. So it'll work out. It should be done about the time I go on the air.
Excellent. Yeah, I tell you, the way it's worked out from our standpoint, scheduling-wise, couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, really.
Couldn't have been any better.
That would have been nice if South Carolina
I hate the Gamecocks,
yeah.
came here and just flat out. They just It's hard to explain. I mean, they're better than that. They'll probably win their regional and put up a good fight in a super regional and may make it back to Omaha. All you got to do is win 5 games.
You got to wonder when not having your lineup all year, though, eventually becomes no continuity at all. You know when it's going to come back and bite you.
Well, I think that's what he's trying to get to by trying to see if these guys can play.
Stand by, guys.
Okay, we're coming up on the top of the hour here on Sports Talk, and we will open up the phone lines to take your phone calls in the next hour. If you want to join us to comment on South Carolina's quick exit from the SEC tournament, Clemson's chances tonight against Miami, the Tigers win tonight. Now they're just a victory away over Georgia Tech from being in the ACC championship game on Sunday. How about that? Who would have thought that? But they got to take care of business against Miami tonight, and a tough pitcher, and of course they've got their best going. So performance in the field, not making those mistakes, not giving the extra outs, those kind of things, and clutch hitting certainly will be key for Clemson tonight if they're going to defeat Miami. A couple of other things to note: the NCAA women's golf tournament going on. The men begin tomorrow. South Carolina improved quite a bit today. They had their best round of the tournament. They shot 3 over par, 283 today, so they climbed, and some teams are still on the course. So right now, South Carolina is in 16th place, plus 43 for the tournament, 27 shots back of the leader. And for the Gamecocks today, some good numbers. Let's see. Samantha Swinehart, 2 under. Sarah Schmelzel and Susie Lee, plus 1. Justine Dreer and Caitlin Dambaugh, they shot rounds of 3 over par. So good days today for the USC golfers. Duke is your leader at plus 16. Southern Cal is next, 6 back. Oklahoma is next at 26 over. Then it's UCLA and Mississippi State rounding out your top 5. And again, the men's tournament commences tomorrow. Of course, South Carolina is participating in that. Story out this afternoon, SEC and the ACC have created what they're calling a de facto partnership as the lone power conferences to maintain an 8-game scheduling model entering the college football playoff. And these two will play each other in non-conference action. An ACC source told CBSSports.com about 4 or 5 teams from each league are discussing potential home-and-home matchups for some time in the next 6 to 7 years. These would be new matchups aside from the permanent end-of-year rivalries that, of course, we all know about. Neutral site-heavy teams like LSU, Alabama, North Carolina, Virginia Tech are likely out of that mix as well, according to the source. That would still leave dozens of potential combinations to be put together, and so the two conferences are apparently now this will be one way for them to meet that requirement that they're throwing out there about playing quality teams from other leagues to spruce up your schedule and improve your strength of schedule as far as the selection goes for the college football playoff. So that's something to watch moving forward as well. All right, 3-1 here, LSU leading Arkansas. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning, and we're hitting the top of the hour break. We'll be back. More Sports Talk coming up. Hey, for those who can't see the tournament, I could turn my computer around and face the field, and they could watch the we give them a live feed. That might be illegal. They might not take comment to that.
Greatly there.
Huh?
We would offend somebody greatly there.
We start charging people, making them pay.
It would be about 3 minutes before Mike's Live tapped you on the shoulder.
What are you doing? This is not part of my SEC network.
No, we would just see him come behind you and slit your throat.
Trey Scarface
and scream, I go black. Fade to black. All right. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous here today.
Yeah, same here.
82 degrees. The wind's starting to die down. There were 6 home runs in the first game this morning between Maryland and Virginia. The wind was blowing so hard.
So Maryland beats Virginia.
Yeah. All right, I got the anthem. Oh.
You going to perform it for us?
Yeah.
Do you know the words?
Most of them. It's about some guy named Jose, right?
Exactly. Jose. Can you see? Sorry, good steak tonight.
I heard they're doing Dreamland barbecue for you guys tonight for your dinner.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I saw. SEC. Chuck.
Oh, okay. I'm still going to go somewhere else. I do not want to eat ballpark food anymore today.
I had Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I've had some jambalaya. They had that for lunch, and I might go to Jim and Nick's.
Oh, yeah, my night's just beginning.
Well, your night's like mine was last night, though not as long and not as late. At least you've got a 7 o'clock start versus a 9-something that I had last night.
Well, at least they got you out of there early with the 7 inning.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, 7-run rule. Or 10-run rule.
All right.
Now, this sounds like one long, slow rendition. Hey, man, you should get a job on a grounds crew somewhere. Be a nice side job for you. Oh, shoot. Is today Thursday? We forgot to get the things in today. Dadgummit. I guess it doesn't matter at all.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Clemson's the home team here. All right.
I can't be singing this song. This is a Red Sox song.
All right, guys, here we go.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth here in Hoover. It's 3-1, top of the sixth. LSU is leading Arkansas. South Carolina has lost to Florida today, 7-2. Ole Miss has beaten Vanderbilt here, 7-2 as well. And at the ACC tournament, K-Mac, you've got Clemson getting underway. Recap the day for us to this moment and what's going on the field.
Yeah, just a couple of minutes away from first pitch. Clemson is the home team here, so it'll be Daniel Gossett on the mound first in this matchup. In the first game today, Maryland beat Virginia 7-6. That's a 6 seed beating a 3 seed. The wind was really blowing most of the day. It's calmed down, at least for the time being, but 6 home runs in that game for both teams combined, and a 7-6 win for Maryland. And Duke shut out Georgia Tech in the second game of the day, 6-0, which brings us to tonight's matchup between Clemson and Miami. The Hurricanes, the number 1 seed in this tournament. A loser yesterday against Georgia Tech, but they have ACC Pitcher of the Year Chris Diaz on the mound. 9-0 this season with a 2.32 ERA. Of course, Daniel Gossett, no slouch, 7-1, took that loss last week against Boston College, but an impressive 1.74 ERA.
Great pitching matchup. You know, you bring up Georgia Tech, and we talk about Dan Radakovich, who was the longtime AD, relatively longtime AD at Georgia Tech. Danny Hall has been at Georgia Tech a long, long time, and they've had great moments. They've made some World Series appearances, haven't won the national championship. They've not been all that great of late. They've been competitive. I think they've been in the tournament pretty regularly. My point is he was certainly very patient with Danny Hall during his time at Georgia Tech. And in talking about Jack Leggett, I hope that he will apply the same sort of patience with Jack Leggett, considering he is new on the scene for the most part, Radakovich is. And if the Tigers make the tournament this year, that'll be 2 years they've made the tournament since Radakovich took over there. So there's no reason to consider making any sort of a change as long as Jack is still energetic and feeling good and wants to continue coaching. And he's got Bradley Lecoy there doing the bulk of his recruiting and doing a good job with that. They're making some very nice renovations to their facility to help improve their recruiting as well. Now, have they had some bonehead moments this season? Absolutely. I remember seeing one against South Carolina in a game that they could have won. They had some bonehead moments yesterday, but I've seen that with South Carolina this year. I've seen it with South Carolina the last 2 nights. It's going to happen. It's college baseball. Bottom line is he's winning enough games to put his team in position to make the postseason, and then you just try to win 5 games to get to Omaha. If you can win 5 in a row, you're on your way to Omaha. So,
Cohen, I believe all the talk, even the question. See, that hurts. In my mind, it may not hurt it much, but it does hurt recruiting, in my opinion, because everything is on Twitter, everything is on the internet. Back the guy, say you back this guy, and let him, just refurbish the program instead of pulling against him.
Third baseman number 14, Christian Ibarra.
Oh, they're qualifying right now. Excellent. Like you mentioned that. going to be getting underway with
So South Carolina has the most NFL players per capita.
That's a beautiful thing. 710. Okay. All right, what you got caller-wise?
Nada.
Everybody's feels weird having this as Memorial Holiday when we still got a bunch of days left in May. Why is that?
Yeah, me. Talk to the Romans.
Talk to the Romans. Talk to the Romans. Da, da, da. Talk to the Romans. Fight for ODC. I'm getting a little punchy.
Getting hungry.
Hunter Mahan had a 29 on the front nine today. Where are they playing? Crown Plaza. What the hell is that? The Rex? Oh. PGA Tour. Garcia, knee injury. He would do. Oh, they're at Colonial. Has the signal been pretty strong?
Yeah.
Okay. How about, it sounds to me, has K-Mac been pretty strong, or has he been a little in and out?
No, his signal's pretty fine. It's just, the main thing is just that background noise is just, it's rough.
Oh, Dustin Johnson is leading. You want to get a little DJ off the PGA Tour site? We can run that here coming up. You got time while we're talking?
Well, I can see if I can steal it.
All right. And just go to the PGA Wet Tour website and go to videos. It'll come up. I'm sure they've interviewed him. Finally, a Dustin Johnson sighting. 65.
How about?
A beautiful evening here in Hoover, Alabama, as play continues in the SEC tournament. This game, LSU and Arkansas, were in the top of the sixth inning. LSU is up 3-1. Good crowd of LSU fans on hand. LSU and Mississippi State usually bring the most fans outside of Alabama and Auburn. Attendance really suffering with no Alabama. Well, they did play in the play-in round, and they lost. And no Auburn again. And so the crowd really suffers from that standpoint when those teams are not here. But Mississippi State and LSU bring a pretty fair number. To be honest with you, South Carolina fans never really attend this event. They've probably gotten to the point where they think, what's the use? They're not going to win it anyway. They're not going to be there very long. Why make the trip and have the expense, and we'll catch them in the regional. So it's a 5.5-hour ride if you don't push it, 5.5-hour ride from Columbia, and Mississippi State's only a couple hours from here. I'm not sure how far it is from Baton Rouge to here. That's not a real short ride, but you can make the excuse that it's a long ride for Gamecock fans. But with a nationally renowned powerhouse program like they have, perhaps they deserve a little more support here at the SEC, but maybe they've got to get better here in Hoover before the fans will come out and support them. LSU now leading Arkansas 4-1, scoring a run here in the top of the fifth. K-Mac, any action in your game yet?
3 up, 3 down for Miami in the top half of the first, and now Clemson going at it here in the bottom half.
All right, qualifying just getting underway in Charlotte for the Coke 600. In the last round of practice, Dale Jr. was your fastest at 193.264. Kevin Harvick was next at 192.1. Jimmy Johnson, Ricky Stenhouse, and Martin Truex round out your top 5 in practice. Then Kyle Busch, Paul Menard, Kurt Busch, my girl Danica, number 9, with a bullet, and Carl Edwards at number 10. We'll keep an eye on qualifying. Of course, they're doing that new form of qualifying, field qualifying, whatever you call it, and we'll keep an eye on that as it unfolds here tonight. The PGA stop is at Colonial in Texas, the Crown Plaza Invitational, and Irmo's Dustin Johnson has the lead, a 5 under 65. Good to see him back on top of the leaderboard. Shot clear of Tim Wilkinson. Hunter Mahan, who shot 29 on the front 9, finishes with a 66. Harris English also 66, and Robert Streb in with a 66 as well. Others that we follow, Jordan Spieth, a 67. Jim Furyk, a 69. Bill Haas, Jonathan Bird, and Ben Martin all had 70s. Davis Love the third, 72. Bill McGirt, a 72. Kyle Stanley, a 73. Lucas Glover, a 73. Scott Brown, a 74. And Kevin Keisner, a 75. And that's the latest from that tournament. If you want to join us tonight, we've got time for calls now, 800-956-7266. Your thoughts on developments here and what's happening with the Clemson baseball team. Your thoughts on the, I don't want to call it a story. It's not a story yet, but just the wave of commentary floating around out there about Jack Leggett and his future at Clemson. I don't think it should be in any doubt, but there are those out there, and there are Clemson fans who are obviously not totally satisfied with what's happening with the baseball program, especially considering the problems they have in dealing with South Carolina head-to-head in baseball the last few years. But, if the Tigers make the NCAA tournament this year, which they may already be in, I think if a win tonight or a win tomorrow should get them into the tournament without question. And that's all you can ask for. It might not have been the prettiest ride to the postseason, but if they get there nonetheless, they are there with a chance to play in a regional and move on from there. And we'll see what happens with the draft coming up, but a good bulk of this team will return next year. You know they're going to lose Gossett right off the top. I would imagine that he'll sign after this year. But a lot of the position players, again, will be back next season. Let's update some of the other baseball around the state. Games involving South Carolina teams, the Southern Conference Tournament. And let's see what's ongoing. Furman continues to lead Appalachian State. They're in the bottom of the 6th. It's 1-0. Wofford has beaten the Citadel 4-2. Georgia Southern beat Western Carolina 8-4. And coming up, it's Davidson and Sanford, last game of the day in Charleston. And the Big South, apparently the field dried out. They had no more issues. They were back to playing today. Campbell beat Charleston Southern 6-2. Radford over Gardner-Webb 5-4. In the top of the 7th, Winthrop is leading Coastal Carolina 3-2. And coming up later on, it's Liberty against High Point. Pro, what's happening in the NBA playoffs tonight? Who's on the floor tonight?
Nobody's on the floor tonight.
It's an off night. This is the first time we've had no NBA basketball in several weeks.
Well, Saturday night is when they play, and it's a good thing for Indiana because, the other night when Wade and Paul George dove for a loose ball, Wade clipped him accidentally in the back of the head, and, he didn't have a good shooting night after that, and he was diagnosed, Paul George was, with a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had to undergo some concussion tests. And I think if they would have played tonight, he probably would have been highly questionable, and he still is questionable for Saturday night. But the key point is they needed a little bit of a travel date. And, of course, Oklahoma City, I think they had a pity party because their center is gone. And I think it showed in the way they played, their body language. They better get it together or the Spurs will bring out the brooms against them.
Let me check out some of our comments here on Twitter. Twitter address is @SportsTalkSC, and of course the website SportsTalkSC.com. In fact, if you're tuned in to SportsTalkSC.com, you can watch the live video feed every night down at the bottom of the page at SportsTalkSC.com. You can see me here in Hoover, and you can see K-Mac over in North Carolina in Greensboro. Wave at him, K-Mac, so they know that you're alive and breathing. And, of course, the pro at the studio in downtown Columbia. The state man behind the bulletproof glass once again as well, and the studio in Columbia. But checking out some of the comments that we have here on Twitter about a variety of things. Let's see. This writer, Southern Sports Central, about the Gamecocks losing, going 0-2 here in Hoover, says, not good for that national seed. Yeah, I would say so. I would say it puts the national top 8 seed definitely in danger. Barry asks, what are your iHeartRadio options again? Well, there's 2 of them. You can go to our affiliate in Myrtle Beach, WSEA FM 100.3. Now, they may have the Coastal Carolina game on right now. Or you can check out our Greenville station, WGVL AM in Greenville. Those are the 2 stations that stream via iHeartRadio. You can also hear us on our live audio stream on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Let's see here. Another question along those lines from Michael. When will y'all be back on in the Columbia market? It is time. Well, I wouldn't disagree with that, but can't give you a dateline or a timeline on that. Nothing is really percolating along those lines that we know of right now. So it is not happening for the immediate future. Hopefully sometime down the road it will happen again, but it's not happening in the immediate future. Don writes, would be correct in assuming a top 8 national seed is out of reach now, and asking about the Gamecocks. K-Mac, what do you think? Out of reach or just in doubt at this time?
A top 8 national seed? Is that what you
For the
said?
Gamecocks.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much in severe doubt. I wouldn't slam the door on it, but I would say it's pretty much out of reach with the 0-2 performance there in Hoover. Had they won today, lost tomorrow, I think they could make a pretty decent case, but, you never say never, but I think they're in pretty big trouble there.
I wonder why the RPI didn't bump Vanderbilt. They went 0-2 here. South Carolina just beat them head-to-head, but the Gamecocks dropped. We'll be right back. And that sun, I'm kind of like Wofford's baseball stadium. That sun is hitting me right in the eyes now. I can't perform.
Yeah, I can see it. You look nice and shiny.
I think, should I go to the shades? What kind of look does that give me around the world? How's that? Is that?
I don't think it matters what you do, Corn.
I like it. How's the shade look? A little more sophisticated, a little more. Do I look like an athlete?
Call you Corpheus.
Say what?
Corpheus.
Corpheus?
Corpheus. It's a corn Morpheus mixture there. He's a guy from a movie called The Matrix.
Problem is, if I put on the shades, I can't read anything. I cannot remember the name of what they call the Sprint Cup qualifying format now. What's it called? Dude, that sun is just blasting in here now. Good Lord. Can't touch this. You ever dance to this song, Steve, man? Can't touch this?
Yeah, back in 91, I believe it was. Yeah, all the time.
Hey, it's still pertinent today. Still has a good beat.
The hammer.
The beat hasn't gone away.
He and Dion used to roll hard back in the day.
Did you find Dustin Johnson?
Nah, I've looked all over the place.
Did you look under videos?
Looked under videos. I searched his name. I clicked on his name on the leaderboard. It showed a video of him hitting a putt, but no interview.
Yeah, there's
Stand by.
One shot lead. All right, sun is now, I've kind of got like the Winthrop Baseball Stadium. I've got the sun blowing right into my eyes. Maybe I need to take an hour off till the sun sets here in the west behind the roof of the stadium here so I can see once again. I don't have to squint so much. You don't have that problem, do you, K-Mac in Greensboro, that field properly aligned so the sun doesn't become a major factor?
Early in the day, it can be kind of tough at home plate. Those morning games because the plate's facing east, but now the sun is setting. Now, I did see the right fielder in the previous game lose a ball in the sun, and it's still pretty tough out there. I'm sure Stephen Duggar's having his work cut out for him out there for the next hour or so. I can tell you, we're moving to the second inning. No score between Clemson and Miami. The Tigers actually made Diaz work a little bit there, bottom half of the first. They had runners on first and second. He walked a hitter. Leadoff man got on for Clemson, but he did escape. He threw 18 pitches, though, so the Tigers did make him at least work a little bit there in that first inning, but nothing to show for it.
All right, Tigers and Miami. They are scoreless early in their game. In Greensboro here, it is still 4-1 LSU leading Arkansas, and we play in the top of the seventh inning. And let's see, I wanted to go back to the Twitter stuff that I was reading because that was some pretty good stuff. Let's see here. Let's see. Is there anything else here? K-Mac, was there very much response on Twitter to your commentary about Jack Leggett? Anything there that you want to pass along?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were chiming in on it, and overwhelmingly. And again, this is Twitter, so it's going to be the negative. People tend to shine through on Twitter, I guess is a light way of putting it. But a lot of people really hammering on Jack Leggett on Twitter. Larry Williams from Tiger Illustrated, he tweeted out just the quote that Leggett told us last night when we did our interview with him about the fans that jumped off the ship can't jump back on, and that upset some people. Now, the second part of that, which doesn't fit in 140 characters, was he said we have some really good fans that believe in us, and we still believe in ourselves, and we're working hard to accomplish our dreams. Wasn't giving the finger to Clemson fans, but you can't blame him, Corn, for being upset with people that are jumping off the ship when they're in the middle of an ACC tournament appearance here and still have some ball to play, and people are riding them off.
I would agree. And, if you like a guy and you feel like he's your guy, you have to stick with him through the rough times as well. That's how you build a program. And, I mean, Jack's had rough times before at Clemson. This isn't the first time the waters have been a little bit rough around him, and he's weathered those storms. I mean, that's why he's been there over 20 years, and he's taken the Tigers to so many different NCAA tournaments. So, again, I think that as the Tigers play out the string here, folks need to just hang in there with them and let them go as far as they can in the postseason, and then help the team as much as possible, both financially and with the support of the administration, and try to rebound and get back to where they're used to being. We'll hit a break. We'll be back.
Corn, when we come back here, Bro wants to comment on the whole Leggett thing.
Okay. I'm starting to perspire profusely now. I don't remember seeing this sun like this last night. Of course, I was sitting on the back row. Hey, I tell you, I called I didn't catch it. We got a foul ball. It happened last night. Did that happen during the show last night?
Wait, what?
Foul ball came into the booth up here, about 3
Oh,
feet
nice.
from
So
it.
rolled around on the ground a little bit and you picked it up?
Yeah.
Congrats.
I thought about trying to go over and catch it on the fly, but it was coming at kind of a weird angle. Kept climbing, because we're way up here. We're way away from. I'm in the press box down the first baseline. This is the football press box, so I'm actually past the cut of the infield in the right field foul line area, and it was a left-handed hitter who fouled it up here, and it just kept climbing, and cut the edge and came in here, and I grabbed it. It's mine. It's all mine.
You didn't find a lucky broad to hand it off to?
Some kids down below were waving at me to throw it at them, but I gave them the finger. I said, "Gotta be kidding."
That's just like you.
I said, go find a playground. Isn't there a playground around here you can go play in? Since the game enough is not enough to entertain people anymore, the game means secondary.
Now, if you don't have a gizmo of some sort that has a Samsung or Apple insignia on it, you can forget about it. Who needs Easton when you got the half-bitten off apple?
Those LSU fans.
Left field with number 7, Sean McMullen.
LSU.
Boy, D-Wade slick.
What'd he do?
Let Paul George quasi steal that ball just so he could fall on the ground and then knee homeboy in the back.
Yeah, that was not an accident.
D-Wade's the slickest when it comes to quasi-accidents.
D-Wade's good at it. He's always, it's never an accident when it's D-Wade.
Kobe's pretty good at doing that to people.
Oh, hush.
Kept an arm when you're down.
He's not. He's not. Those point guards are the ones that do stuff like that. Like Chris Paul when he got the guy at Wake Forest when he got suspended for that though. He got caught.
All right, rolling along here, the SEC tournament in Hoover, Alabama. LSU on top 5-1 against Arkansas, Clemson, and Miami. Going at it at the ACC tournament in Greensboro. Get an update from K-Mac on that in just a moment. You want more from your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future, it has no limits. All right, before we get back to K-Mac and get an update on the ball game, we were talking about Jack Leggett and that situation that's been talked about. It didn't help that Gene Sapakoff called for his, if I remember it correctly, pretty much just called for his firing at the end of this season, basically saying that the program has slipped and he does not see the opportunity for it to recover under Jack. And that's kind of set the wheels in motion as far as the comments from various people around the state the last few days. And my bottom line thinking is that no change needs to be made in Clemson baseball. Jack Leggett's a fine man, he's a fine baseball coach. He has won. He will win again, and he should be allowed to leave the job when he's good and ready. As long as the job's not absolutely, as long as the program's not absolutely down in the trash heap, which is not, and doesn't appear to be going that way, he should be allowed to do whatever he can to uplift it. And then when he's ready to retire, he should be able to retire on his own. He's earned that right. And the problem today is, of course, our society in every aspect has become so immediate. Win now, win today. Don't build, don't rebuild. And if it's not going well in a year or two, ready to make a change and try somebody else. And I warn people when they think along those lines, think about Tennessee football. How's it worked out since they fired Philip Fulmer, who, in a similar situation like Jack Leggett, though the baseball program at Clemson had not dropped off as much as the football program, I don't think, had at Tennessee. It had dropped off by their standards. He wasn't really given a chance to build it back up. Well, what have they done since then? And there's other examples of that as well.
Well, the key point is all the talk on Twitter, and the young people look at this stuff and they hear the talk shows, and that could affect some parents, some kids looking at Clemson. Well, Jack may not be there. Do you want to go there? That can hurt recruiting in some aspect. But for the most part, fans should realize that the coaching profession is a tight profession. Now, you have some mercenaries out there. Bobby Petrino comes to mind. But for the most part, coaches look at a program, who's built it, and why did they get rid of a guy? And some of them just won't look at that program because they say, well, wait a minute, you had a good coach. Why did you get rid of him? You want to hire me? As you said, Philip Fulmer. To a lesser extent, look at North Carolina State. Herb Sendek had him going to the NCAAs. They didn't like his offense, got rid of him. Well, we're NC State. We're in the SEC. We're here in Raleigh. We can hire anybody we want. How did that work out for you? You got one of your alumni guys in Sidney Lowe. That didn't work. Finally, maybe you're building it back now, but that's what happens when you get rid of a coach that's doing things the right way, and then you think a coach is just going to go in there and waltz in and accept your job because of your program. And for the most part, coaches, it doesn't work that way. Coaches and agents look very hard at the situation, whether it's tenuous or whatever, the fan base, that sort of thing. But they also look at if you got rid of a guy who was doing things the right way and winning. And that can turn some coaches off from even looking at you, even though the job on the surface looks desirable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that perception. And in today's age of the way everybody is wired together on Twitter and Facebook and things of that nature, one person's opinion gets spread around and others pick up on it. If it's a negative one, of course, it can be a problem when you go into the home and you try to discount the rumors and the innuendo being made against you, especially if it's made by people who are your so-called fans. But as we well know, and I pin this more on the younger crowd, K-Mac, than I do the older crowd. I think that today's younger fans are more into the immediate gratification of success, and if their team isn't winning within a year or two, if it starts to struggle for a year or two, they're immediately clamoring for a change. And I think that's a little bit different than maybe the previous generation of sports fans that's now moved into its 50s and 60s and beyond.
I don't know if you can break it down demographically by age, because there's been a lot of programs that have made a living firing coaches every 5 years. Heck, that was South Carolina's MO for the longest time until Steve Spurrier came around. And you look at the most successful organizations in sports, whether it's high school, college, or professional, regardless of sport, the perennial successful organizations are ones that don't have a lot of changes. Organizations like the Pittsburgh Steelers that stick with their guys. When you have guys that are around for a long time, there's going to be some ebbs and flows and some highs and lows when you recalibrate, but by and large, you're going to have success. And if this is down for Clemson, to be in a regional and go into the postseason, then that's a pretty good rock bottom. And they're going to get back. Jack Leggett didn't forget how to coach. And we'll see what happens in this game here against Miami, if they win this game, they're in very good shape to potentially play for an ACC tournament championship. That's why I think it's really premature to criticize so heavily like we're getting with some of the media and fans for a team that is still playing baseball right now. But
So, to the best of your ability, and I know it's tough with that format, update us on who stands where as far as being able to advance Sunday to the championship. Have you got a grasp on who's where and who's got to do what?
Well, looking at it from Clemson's standpoint, they're in Pool A with Miami, Duke, and Georgia Tech. Everybody has a loss right now except for Clemson in Pool A. So obviously, logic will tell you if they win this game against Miami, Clemson is in very, very good shape playing against a 9-seed Georgia Tech tomorrow afternoon to advance to Sunday. Over in Pool B, Florida State is the only high seed that picked up a win. Virginia lost. North Carolina lost to Florida State last night. And Maryland is also they're 1-0. So Maryland and Florida State are in control in that pool, but they still have a lot more to be decided as Pool A has a lot more action than Pool B right now. So Clemson, the winner of this game, regardless, would have been in good shape. But if Clemson wins, Miami will essentially be eliminated, and Clemson will be in very, very good shape, controlling its own destiny going into tomorrow's matchup against a Georgia Tech team that is going to be playing its third game in as many days, which isn't a huge deal for them. They do weekend series all the time, but Clemson would have the advantage there certainly.
Yeah, and where Clemson's had a problem this year, of course, is that number 3 starter. It's bounced around a little bit. Jake Long, Scott Irwin. So where do you think they'll turn? Zach Irwin. Sorry,
Zach Irwin.
Yeah. Where do you think they'll turn for their starter, especially tomorrow? If they beat Miami and then tomorrow's for a chance to get the ACC championship, where are they going to go for a starter?
Yeah, they would get a day of rest. That's a good question because I think we have to see how this plays out. Jack Leggett, regardless of what happens tomorrow and beyond, if Clemson wins this game, they have to look at this as a clincher, a clinching opportunity to get to the NCAA regionals. Leggett thinks they're in, and I tend to agree with them after that win yesterday, especially if they can get one more win in this tournament. But if they won tonight, they would be certainly in the NCAA tournament and in good shape to play for an ACC tournament championship. So where they go tomorrow in terms of a starter, I think will depend on how many guys they use tonight in this game. Updating this game, Clemson has had some opportunities here in each of the first 2 innings. They're still batting here in the second inning. They had the leadoff hitter on in both innings, and I need to correct myself. I misspoke and said Diaz had only thrown 17 pitches in the first. He actually threw 22. Well, you can add 20 more pitches to that. He's at 42 pitches right now here in the top of the second inning with 2 outs, but Clemson just had a runner tagged out at the plate trying to score a run and take the early lead, so they have runners on first and second with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning.
And that was
cut you about 20 seconds ago there, K-Mac.
Standing analysis like we have never heard on Sports Talk. As a matter of fact, nobody heard it because it was 20 seconds after the cutoff.
Nice.
Well, our internet
Kevin Cornbloom reporting live from ACC.
I don't know at what point. I wasn't even looking. I was trying to watch this.
Were you able to cut him clean, Stateman?
I made it about as clean as I could.
Oops.
Well, we were due to have one little snafu. Everybody makes errors.
We can't ever bat 1,000. It's just impossible.
I'm going to do recruiting here. So, K-Mac, you can take your nightly nap now.
Good. I need it.
Make sure you mute yourself or mute him, Stateman. And be mutated. I'll check NASCAR qualifying. Where are we at? Kevin Harvick. Current lap, best lap, 193. Danica's at 192. Tony Stewart's run 3 laps. Current lap. Maybe one run lap. One run. That's hard to say. He's only run 1 lap.
He has only run 1 lap.
He's only run one lap. Say that 3 times fast. Run one lap. Run one
He's
lap.
only
Run
run
one lap.
one lap. He's only run one lap. He's only run one lap.
That wasn't fast.
Yeah, I can't say it fast. Hard to speak too fast as is. You know this. When I got Morgan on for the Braves report a couple nights ago, I don't even remember what I said. My typical greeting. Anybody ever tell you speak fast?
Who said that, Morgan?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I know, Morgan. Corn's been telling me that for 3 years.
I'll do this. I'll do no spot, and then we'll do recruiting. I'm glad I'm not driving back tonight. There's no way I could make it back.
I think I got a DiGiorno and nap time right behind it.
What's a DiGiorno? Oh, pizza?
Duh. You think DiGiorno was a cereal or something?
DiGiorno.
It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
DiGiorno.
Hell, I'd probably eat DiGiorno flakes, I'm not going to lie.
DiGiorno flakes. Well, my computer's ready to take a nap.
But what are foreign NFL players not suing for? Ugly uniforms?
Here's a fly ball to right field. It drops in front of the right fielder, and he throws it back into the second baseman.
Second baseman number
I should do play-by-play.
The North-South game says no thanks.
All right, let's update a couple of things. 5-1 here. LSU leading Arkansas. Clemson, Miami, scoreless in Greensboro. We'll get more from K-Mac on that coming up. Qualifying ongoing. Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 600. And in the current round of qualifying on the track, Kevin Harvick has the single fastest speed at 193.931. Brian Vickers second. Justin Allgaier third, Martin Truex Jr. fourth, and Tony Stewart fifth. And there's my girl, Danica Patrick, right there sixth. She's only run one lap. So some of these folks have only taken one lap, and they're sitting on that speed right now. So right now, Kevin Harvick has the pole. And we will do recruiting for you here on Sports Talk coming up in just a moment. Remember, when you're out on the water, have fun for sure, but please never drink and drive your boat. Always designate a driver. Always wear your life jacket. Let's make it through the summer safely so we can see you all at the ball games coming up this fall. And please take that message to heart. All right, now to recruiting here on a Thursday night. Got a lot of things to tell you about. First of all, defensive end Arden Key of Atlanta tweeted today that he will announce the second commitment of his high school football career on June the 10th. He has stated a top 5 in order: Oregon, Miami, LSU, Ole Miss, USC. However, nobody really believes that. The recruiting internet pundits suggest he'll commit to USC. Nobody's buying the Oregon crap. He first committed to the Gamecocks June 16, 2013. At that time, he said of USC a number of things he liked. He said academics, it's like you have to try to fail. Remember that comment, Pro? When
Yes.
we quoted him as saying that, and for some reason everybody went nuts over it. I further explain here the meaning was with all the academic support, an athlete would have to put in little or no effort not to get his degree. That's what he was saying. I can't believe people couldn't figure that out on their own. He also likes the coaches, likes their style of defense. You remember, He was a teammate of defensive back Wesley Green, who committed 5 days after Key. They both decommitted on September 22nd. Green, of course, eventually recommitted and signed with the Gamecocks. Key left Martin Luther King High School in Lithonia for Hapeville Charter in Atlanta. He and Green remain close friends. Key has said he will visit USC June 13th, perhaps an indication he will, like Green, recommit to the Gamecocks. Last season, 100-plus tackles and 8 sacks. USC, of course, has a commitment in a tight end position from Kyle Markway, and they are in good shape with another in Connor Redmond. They are also in the hunt for highly touted tight end Chris Clark, 6'6", 252, Ridgewood, New Jersey. He attends school in Avon, Connecticut. He tells us that USC recruiter G.A. Manglis was by the school on Tuesday to visit with him. He wants to visit USC in June before he makes his announcement July 10th at the opening. The problem is finding a date because he has a pretty full calendar between already committed visits and various camps. He's going to visit Michigan and Michigan State in June. He does have a very positive impression of the USC football program, plus he likes the state of South Carolina, the weather. One of his good friends, offensive lineman Tommy Hatton, is very interested in USC as well, and they've talked about possibly playing together. So he says he has great interest in USC. He has USC in his top list, along with Tennessee, Michigan State, Michigan, Arizona State, and Ohio State. He got that list from over 40 offers. There is no leader at this point. Offensive lineman Josie Milton from Clinton, Louisiana, is a recent USC commitment, and we have finally been able to catch up with him to get his thoughts about committing to the Gamecocks without ever having set foot on campus. And he said, why wouldn't you want to play for South Carolina? He said there were several factors for why he chose South Carolina, including being shifted from the defensive line to center. He feels like that is where his career is going to take off when he plays center. Also, he wants to major in business, and he's impressed by USC's business school. His father played college ball with Gamecock assistant Deke Adams at Southern Miss, so that certainly helped the Gamecocks in that case. He plans to make his first trip to Columbia this summer, and he said he is solid with his commitment. 2017 cornerback out of Jacksonville, Sean Wade, offered by Clemson and Virginia Tech. Speaking of Tommy Hatton, he's picked up his 17th offer. It's from Virginia Tech. He still has USC as one of his favorites right now. Receiver Charles Irvin of New Jersey has a USC offer, and he plans to reveal his top choice of colleges, as he puts it. He plans to reveal that at about 9 o'clock tonight. We'll give you a little bit more in recruiting after the break. Don't go away. Well, LSU's blowing this thing open now. 7-1. I think the Gamecocks had to figure out a way to win here. I think they'd enjoy being here for an extended period. They could just figure out a way. Yeah. That sun is not going to leave before the show signs off.
Squeeze one more spot.
I think I've done them all. I just did another. I think I've done them all. Is there anything hiding on me here? I did
4
two
total.
I did 2 waters, 1 lottery, and 1 college. I've done them.
Okay.
I did 2 waters.
I may have missed one. I don't know. I've got 3 down.
No, I did 4.
Okay.
Dadgummit. Oh, there it is. Oh, Kyle Busch has now moved to the poll. Any score in the Clemson game?
Any score over there, K-Mac? So still 0-0. Miami's got the bases loaded with nobody out, Corn.
Oh, Lord.
Yep. All right, stand by. Let's wrap this thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, continuing with the recruiting report on this Thursday night. Wide receiver Deion Kane of Tampa picked up an offer from LSU. He also has a Clemson offer. Big-time defensive lineman Tim Settle from Virginia tweeted, quote, "I'm done with interview till I commit." Clemson's one of his schools. My response to him is, why don't we just stop talking about you then until you commit? Why don't we do that as the media then? Since you don't want to do any more interviews, you hotshot, why don't we just say, screw you, we're not going to mention your name or talk about you anymore until you announce? I think that would make everybody happy. Maybe we should do that. You know, some of these kids need to realize that they're still children and high school kids. And maybe we adults, including recruiters, should try to treat them that way, instead of treating them like they're 30-year-old men driving Mercedes-Benz. They're children, 16, 17-year-old. You tired of talking to the media? Then we won't talk about you anymore. How about that, big boy? Who's going to win that battle, K-Mac?
The kid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you.
Ask Robert Kimdichie.
Couple of more things here. Ty Hudson, the point guard, visited Clemson on Monday out of Mableton, Georgia. He and his mother spent about 4 hours with Brad Brownell, and the assistants came away very impressed, liked the facilities, everything they're doing there, liked the campus, knows that Clemson's losing their starting point guard next year, so he thinks he could play early. So right now he does have Clemson on top, but he hasn't been to a lot of schools. Tennessee just offered, as did Virginia Tech. UAB, Houston, Western Kentucky, Kansas State, Mercer, and Kennesaw State have also offered. He plans to visit Virginia Tech in June, also wants to visit Auburn, plans to revisit Clemson for a football game. Would like to make a decision this summer or early in the school year. Former Tennessee forward A.J. Davis has interest in Clemson, Central Florida, DePaul, and Florida State. That's being reported out there. And I love this name now. I hope I got this right. Center Doudou, or maybe it's Doudou, D-O-U-D-O-U. Would you pronounce that pro Doudou or Doudou?
I would say it's doo-doo.
Doudou Gueye, G-U-E-Y-E. Doudou Gueye, or something like that. He's from Western Nebraska Community College, but, I mean, that's not his hometown. I think that's probably somewhere offshore. He has signed with South Carolina State. Doudou Gueye.
What is he?
He's a center.
A basketball center?
Yeah, basketball center. Yeah.
Should have played at Alabama.
Buddy Pugh ain't signed any football players named Doudou.
Well, that was Clowney's nickname, you know.
Clowney's nickname was Doudou?
Yeah.
Oh.
They call him a Rock Hill, so I think anybody would sign him.
What's your situation there, K-Mac?
Miami is now on the board. This has been a disastrous inning for the Tigers. The Canes loaded the bases with nobody out. Gossett struck out the next hitter and was trying to get a double play or another strikeout and hit the last batter. So it is now 1-0 Miami. Bases still loaded with one out here in the top of the third.
All right, that will do it for us. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Designated hitter number 9,
Doo-doo. I saved you, State Man. I saved you.
Boy, I don't know what other kind of signal I can.
And now a pass ball.
Oh, boy.
Good old doo-doo.
Or a wild pitch, probably.
Maybe you'll get the 10-run rule for you.